Davinia Ann Sterling was just 31 years old when she vanished from Jacksonville, Florida. She checked out of a hotel room in the Arlington area on a January afternoon in 2010 and was never seen again. Jacksonville, Florida, one of the largest cities in the U.S. by land, home of the Jaguars football team, with beautiful beaches, popular colleges and restaurants, shopping malls, and an entertainment-filled nightlife, keeping the natives home and attracting tourists from all over. A city so big, yet somehow everyone knows someone who knows someone, from the busy streets of Arlington Expressway to crossing bridges into downtown, where memories at the once popular Regency Mall still linger. Jacksonville carries its own kind of rhythm and history. From north side, south side, west, and out east, this city holds stories on every corner. Even if you've never stepped foot into Jacksonville, Florida, chances are you've heard of it, because in recent years, the city made headlines through its connection to drill rap and street violence. And while things have calmed down thanks to their local law enforcement efforts, not every story in the city's history made it to the news, especially back in the earlier 2000s, where some crimes and disappearances barely made a sound. No headlines, no billboards, little to no details, and families waiting, hoping, and still searching for answers. In this series, we're looking back at missing persons cases from Jacksonville, Florida, cases that may no longer be in the news, but were never forgotten by the people who knew them. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, fair use is permitted for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Davinia Ann Sterling was born on August 11, 1978, and spent most of her life in Jacksonville, Florida. Those who knew her best called her D or Venia. She was a mother of three, and that role defined her more than anything else. No matter what challenges she faced, her love for her children remained at the core of who she was. It was just the last few days of January 2010. Davinia Sterling and her boyfriend, Jonathan Reed, were staying at the Regency Inn motel on Arlington Expressway in Jacksonville, Florida. They were enjoying their stay in room 228. Although there are no public records indicating how long the couple was staying there for sure, on January 27, 2010, Davinia checked out of the hotel, and that would be the last time anyone saw or heard from her again. After a week of silence, with no calls or check-ins from Devenia, family became very concerned. It wasn't normal for them to not hear from her, especially given how regularly she stayed in touch with her children. Davinia's family officially reported her missing on February 2nd of 2010. The boyfriend, Jonathan Reed, who was reportedly with Davinia at the time, was also unreachable in the days that followed. When the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office began their investigation, they eventually located Reed out of state. Oddly, he had left the state of Florida and was found in Texas. There, he was reportedly arrested on unrelated outstanding warrants. It's unclear whether he had prior connections to Texas or if he fled there after Davinia disappeared. When questioned, Reed told investigators that he and Devenia had gotten to an argument that day at the Regency Inn motel, and that she ran off during the dispute. Jonathan claimed he hadn't seen her since, and to this day, Reed has not been named as a person of interest. No surveillance footage from that day has been made public, and no charges have ever been filed in connection with Davinia's disappearance. Over 15 years have passed, and still there's been no activity on Davinia's credit cards, no confirmed sightings, and no solid leads. Her name appears in several national missing person databases and advocacy networks, including NAMAS, the Black and Missing Foundation, and First Coast Crime Stoppers. Loved ones and advocates continue to hope for answers for the whereabouts of Davinia, but beyond a few local mentions, her case has never been solved. Just a mother of three who checked out of a motel room in Jacksonville, Florida with her boyfriend and was never seen again. Davinia Ann Sterling was last seen on January 27, 2010, in the Arlington area of Jacksonville, Florida. She's described as 5 foot 6 inches tall, about 125 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. If you have any information pertaining to Davinia and her whereabouts, please contact the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, no matter how small, anything to help bring answers to Davinia's family. Before I get into my thoughts on the case, if you haven't already, be sure to like this video as it really helps with pushing these stories and bringing more eyes to them. Also, I'd like to know, is this your first time hearing of this case? What do you think happened to Davinia? Let me know in the comments. The worst part of this case is knowing that Davinia's children have grown 15 years older without their mother, without answers, and without closure. That breaks my heart, and honestly, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around how a loving mother of 3 could just vanish off the face of earth. That's so eerie to me. I'm sharing these cases with as much detail as I can, but it's not easy. There's so little information out there, and it's not just hard to put the videos together, it's hard to even come up with a theory about what could have happened. I will say, I don't believe she ran off. I don't believe she would have left her 3 children behind like that. I personally side-eye anyone who's the last person seen with someone before they go missing, especially when that person suddenly shows up in a completely different state. I just have so many unanswered questions. I couldn't find much more information on Davinia's boyfriend at the time of her disappearance, and I don't want to speculate too much, but what I will say is this. We've all had relationships, arguments, disagreements. Most of us have probably stormed off during a fight, but in those moments, even when you're upset, there's usually a basic level of care, a responsibility to make sure the other person is safe, and Jonathan lacked that. The fact that he left town without knowing if Davinia was okay, someone who he was supposed to care about, his girlfriend, that part just doesn't sit right, and I'll leave that there. Besides, my goal isn't to solve cases. I don't wear a badge, but even with small details, it's worth it to me to tell these stories, to bring awareness, to make sure these women aren't forgotten. This is the story of Davinia Ann Sterling. Thank you for listening. If you believe in keeping these cases present and bringing awareness to each story, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It helps more people find these stories and helps keep them from being forgotten. And if you'd like to know when new videos go up, you can also tap the bell icon and YouTube will notify you when we post new videos here at Lavender Files.